to Eric's middle of the night food and fun frolic factory. I'm a little bit hungry. I'm not quite ready to go to bed. I'm done making shorts. I made a couple of shorts and stuff. Spend some time hearting comments and even responding to some of them with actual words, which I do occasionally. I think you see what I'm getting at. Hi, Boba Fett. So, with the next thing to do being going to bed, and that not being really like the most exciting thing one might do, although it's a necessary thing to do. You can't stay awake forever. If you do, then you'll die, I guess. I don't know what happens if you just stay awake forever, but it can't be good for you. Maybe I was premature in saying you can't stay awake forever. I don't know definitively for sure that you can't, but I think it's unlikely that you could stay awake forever. I'm going to get a little screwdriver here and attempt to fix these glasses, which are already falling apart. Yes, that's right. This little screw coming out, but I can screw it back in without too much difficulty here. There we go. Okay. So now my glasses are working properly again. You sure love this massive streaming this weekend. There's quite a bit of streaming, yeah, but I would say also less than some previous bottles of Adderall. In part because I've been making a decent number of other kinds of videos, shorts or long form videos. But and because I'm doing that, it's very nice. It makes streaming more fun and interesting. 27 CFR 7211, all crimes are considered commercial crimes. I'm not sure what to make of that. It's obviously the case that not all crimes are commercial crimes. So why would they all be considered commercial crimes? Good morning, Cindy Prim. What are we doing right now? We are making some delicious food. Why? Because hunger and happy times don't go together. You know what go together with hunger? Sad times. So we're going to frolic by having fun and food here in the middle of the night until old Mr. Sandman comes around with his sleep-inducing sand, and then perhaps we will go to sleep. The cat doesn't want me to pet him. He wants me to watch him eat. Go ahead and eat. You don't need me to stand here and watch you. Okay? You're perfectly capable of eating all by yourself. You're a full-grown cat. You want me to pet this cat? Well, she certainly is a sweet potato pie. Yes. Unlike the other cat who's a difficult cat, this cat's a sweetheart. Oh, yes, you are a sweetheart. Okay. Now, what's next on the list of things to do right now in preparation for food, fun, frolicking, and maybe a little bit of adventure Here on Talking with Famous People. I don't know if she really wanted to be pet in that moment or not. Typically when she wants pets, I mean, granted, she can't come to me in the normal fashion in this moment to get pets that way. So it's conceivable, but usually she comes to me when I'm sitting down and climbs on the arm of my chair and basically soaks up a high amount of pets in one sitting, but not too frequently, like not more than like once a day, you know. I'm trying to clean out this cooked on, baked on, caked on rice. It needs to go into the trash. But that's about as good as I can do with it. So I just soak this pot now. Soak that pot. And then I think what I'm going to make for foods, and well, I'll check with you guys first before, see if you think this is in fact a good idea. What I'm considering making for foods is a hamburger. Right, I've got hamburger patties, I've got hamburger buns, I've got cheese, I've got ketchup, mustard. I've even, if I felt like going crazy with the cooking, have an onion I could cut up. On the other hand, I could make a sausage sandwich, or I could go crazy and try to make fried rice or something, but my normal rice pot is now in the sink. Have I ever tried to scrub? First of all, I'm not your daddy. Second of all, I'm not sure what that is. Hamburger. A scrub like, I mean, generally I ascribe to TLC's model on this. I don't want no scrubs. A scrub is a guy who can't get no love from me. Okay, I've got hamburger patties, I've got hamburger buns. I think I might make myself 2 hamburgers, but they're going to be minimalist hamburgers. What makes them into a minimalist hamburger? Well, it just has hamburger, bun, cheese, ketchup, mustard. And that's it. That's as minimal as you can make a hamburger be, really. It's a scrubber thing? Oh, it's called Scrub Daddy? Well, I should have respected your lack of comma, I guess. Don't go assuming commas where I don't put no commas, motherfucker. I get that. I realize that's my bad. Alright. We'll put this on the giggity as per meow. You say minimal, but it costs like $5 at McDonald's. No, what I mean is the hamburger's a minimalist hamburger because it doesn't have any bells and whistles, really. Like you could have a maximalist hamburger would have ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, lettuce, onions, tomato, pickles, or whatever other shit you could think to put on it. That would be the opposite of a minimalist hamburger. My minimalist hamburger, it just has the basic necessities. What are the basic necessities? Well, they are meat, cheese, bun, ketchup, mustard. That's it. Luigi, good morning. Do I like John Mayer? I like at least one of his songs. I'm not particularly familiar with his body of work, so it's hard to say what my opinion about it is, obviously. However, I do like Somebody Stop This Train. I think it's a wonderful song. It always makes me feel very, like, existentially resonant or something. Like, oh, the unbearable lightness of being. Like that. So we're gonna not go too crazy with the burgers here in terms of putting crap on top of the meat, but I am gonna sprinkle a little bit of this garlic herb sprinkle stuff, which is, you put on steak or whatever. Just zazz it up a speck. And one of the advantages of having 2 hamburgers is I'm not going to need the extra amount of stuff that I might get in a less minimalist hamburger, like the lettuce and all that stuff. Because I'm going to have 2 minimalist hamburgers to provide all the fullness that I need. Alright, let's see what's happening here in El Chat. Why, you're my son, Ubin Princess Peach son. I'm not your son. My name's not Princess Peach. And just for the record, Princess Peach was a girl. A bag of mysterious meat is inside the drawer underneath your microwave. The drawer underneath my microwave? No, there's no mysterious meat in here. It's just stamps and shit. Down here, just like nothing really. Like there's some placemats and an old phone book, it looks like. So, no. Incorrect. You were wrong. There's no mysterious meat in any drawer beneath my microwave. Well, I didn't doubt that you were just messing with me, but I nevertheless wanted to set the record straight, I wouldn't call it defaming because it's not necessarily bad to have meat in a drawer, but it is false. Alright, so we are defrosting currently a 2 hamburger buns, which came out of the freezer. And we are defrosting / cooking these 2 frozen hamburger patties, which of course also came out of the freezer. I'll use this one plate here for utensils like that. And I'll put the burgers themselves on this one. Now, let me put a little bit more sprinkle here. Okay. Next, how are the buns doing? They're doing fine. They're defrosted enough to fulfill their duty as buns. Okay, let's take a look here. Have I seen Cole? No. Don't know who Cole is. I've also, don't believe I've ever shopped at Kohl's. I don't walk across hot coals, but I also don't walk across cold coals. So, what am I doing? Well, Sephora, Dante's, I am cooking hamburguesas, as they say in Mexico. I've got my buns defrosted, and I've got, oh no, did I not get more cheese? I forgot to get more cheese. That's fine. I still have 1 full bag of these medium cheddars. So let me take one of these out. And I'm going to take 2 of these out. I'll put the mozzarella back. Mozzarella is not a burger cheese. Okay. I'm going to throw these packagings away. These held some cheeses before. And we will flip these burgers over before we continue our bun preparation in anticipation of these delicious meat patties. Alright, now, bun preparation. Well, like I said, these are minimalist hamburgers, just the minimum required amounts of ingredients. So we're going to take the cheese, and we're just going to break it into little pieces like this. We'll put it right there. And this will serve everyone's interests and needs perfectly. Okay, next we'll get this cheese out like this. We'll break it into pieces and put it on this bun. By putting these pieces of cheese on the bun, well, that means when we put the hot patty on top of it, it will melt the cheese. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to get the ketchup and mustard out now. Because obviously, if you know anything about hamburgers or hot dogs, you know that they require 2 condiments before and above all others. Namely, ketchup and mustard. Alright. Your friends call me Waluigi. Oh, Waluigi? Okay, fine. So you mean these for breakfast or for, I mean for right now. It's 2:10 in the morning where I am. I don't know if that counts as breakfast time or midnight snack time or what. But it does count as I'm hungry time, therefore I shall eat. Keeping in mind also that I live rather far out in the boondocks, and we don't actually have any fast food restaurants. Well, we have a Subway in town, but that obviously closes fairly early. And the other fast food restaurants are, you know, a good drive away from us. We have no DoorDash or Uber Eats. So when we want to eat, we have got to either go to a restaurant that, you know, during restaurant hours, or we gotta make our own food. There just ain't no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Okay. Turn off this oven. I'll put that spatula right there. Now, I want you to turn your attention away from condominiums and towards condiments. Because that's what's going on next. A little ketchup on each of these buns. And, of course, its complementary condiment, mustard. Love and marriage, horse and carriage, ketchup and mustard, they all share the same kind of relationship. You can't have one without the other. Granted, if I mean sausages are generally, not hot dogs, but sausages, I'll generally go mustard without the ketchup. But, you know, that's crazy foreign food. What do you expect? Alright, so we're going to get a beverage to take over to the chair with us to consume with our drinking mouth. And I've chosen this non-alcoholic beer, this Klaus Taller, as my beverage of choice this evening. I'm additionally going to bring with me the napkins that I shall surely need. Okay. I could even do the following. I'm not starving or anything. I mean, like, for more food. But the idea of a couple of complimentary chips to give a little bit of crunchy differentiation to my mouth outside of just the two identical hamburgers. I think it's a good idea. So I went ahead and did it. Fortune favors the bold, they say. So I chose boldness today in my decision making. Alright, I've got 2 hamburgers. Got about 5 chips. Got a beverage, got a camera and a tripod. Put this down right here. Now I'm going to turn up the lights in there. Okay, everybody. It's time to rejoice today in my vision. Today, my vision features delicious hamburgers. Tomorrow, maybe my vision will feature world peace or social justice. But today, it's delicious hamburgers. Ruben just said now it's at 35. Ooh, now 41. What's it, 41 or 46 or whatever? I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about the number of people here. Yeah, I know. I did notice that we hit a high top concurrence today, this morning, more so than I have been lately, and that seems, at least somewhat encouraging to me. I just want to thank the goddess of flavor. For infusing her magic into these burgers. And now I shall pull up the stream on the big screen where you can read your chats. Well, yeah. We frequently go into negative people here. Because obviously, like anytime someone else's YouTube channel gets a view, that view has to be taken away from someplace. Seems like lately, I've been taking away people from mine even below 0. That's a tasty morsel. I forgot to ask you, Rachel, if you wanted any food. So I didn't make you any. If you are feeling like, hey, I really want my finger to do something, you could like the stream. Your finger in conjunction with your mouse, or perhaps if you're on your phone, not even with that, can in fact have its own little adventure by liking the stream if it wants to, or disliking it, either one. There's plenty to hate about this miserable excuse for a YouTube live stream. You're feeling bloated, huh? Well, That means now would be a good time for you to fall out of a boat. Less likely to sink. No. Wario is brothers with Mario. Waluigi is brothers with Luigi. It's not the wa or lack of wa that determines a familial relations. It's the other part. In fact, you're feeling bloated. Things that are bloated are more likely to float when they fall out of a boat. So I just mentioned that if you're feeling bloated, it's a safer time to fall off of a boat than when you're not feeling bloated. I'm talking about how bloating and floating are closely related. I'm also talking about how Luigi is brothers with Waluigi. Mario is brothers with Wario. The Waz, Waluigi and Wario, have nothing to do with each other in terms of family relations. They just share a Wa name. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hi, Rahul Reader. Wa is Japanese for skibbity. So I'm enjoying a lot of flavor right now. It is making me a little bit less, fluid in my presentation of media for you to consume or whatever. In other words, there's a little bit of dead air here. Right, just like Eric and why Eric, we're brothers. But Rachel and Rachel, they're sisters. I'm not brother and sister with Rachel, and why Eric and why Rachel are not brother and sister. No, if that were the case, it would be incest. We don't have any lettuce right now. Hmm. You're saying the relationship between Mario and Luigi is mirrored by the relationship between Wario and Waluigi in the Shadow Realm. Well, I see what you're saying. Why Eric is shadow husband to our Rachel. Hmm. Oh, I see. What you're saying is why Eric's not even my brother. He's just my anti-Eric. He's like antimatter. Gotcha. But if that were the case, wouldn't it be the case also that if why Eric and regular Eric came together in the same spot, that they cancel each other out, and then neither would exist? Hmm. And Wa is basically defined as skibbity, right? It's fine. You just have to keep them not too close to each other. The only reason why matter and antimatter cancel each other out is because they collide, right? If you prevent them from colliding, they can both make perfectly fine lives by themselves. Got to enforce the restraining order against the other one. Rahul Reader, the longer you're around, the more I realize that obviously, go fuck yourself. You know, it's not a super complicated thing. I mean, it wasn't kind of funny because, like, what was the linkage? What was the assembly linkage or whatever? I don't know. I tried to express to Rahul Reader before that, there are certain kinds of critiques that are acceptable, critiques of a person's behavior or words. Other kinds of critiques that are never acceptable, like critiques of a person's body, right? So, since he has been informed of this, has claimed in the past that his violation of these basic social mores was due to his own idiocy and lack of understanding. I think at this point we can see that he's just a spiteful little shit. Charizard's 2. Hi there. Hi, Charizard's 2. So naturally, we aren't going to uh, be participating much in Rahul's games any further. I gave him plenty of chances to prove himself somebody who was not in a complete waste of air, and he failed to do so. Hang loose, Charizards 2, or thanks a lot, whichever you prefer. When you're hungry and you eat food, everything changes. All of a sudden, you're like, you know what? Everything's at least a little bit better than I had thought a few minutes ago. It is 2:30 in the a.m. where I am, Jana. It is Saturday night, Sunday morning. That had nothing to do with how late I stay up, but I always like to refer to Prince's wisdom in this regard. It was Saturday night. I guess that makes it all right. All right. We are officially now done with our food. I think it's going in the trash. I did not know that Machoke evolves into Machode, but I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to learn it, I mean. Thanks. 2:30 in Seattle, 2:30 here in Mariposa, California. And more importantly, though, I'm now done eating, so I can um, at least now I can return my full attention to talking at the live stream. Accordingly, you won't have to wait so many beats for my next word. You won't have to be like, spit it out, slowpoke. I'll be spitting it out like nobody's business. Trump's still on top or what? I don't know. Derek says, knock you out cold, Eric. Okay. What do you mean by that? Do you mean that there's some sort of thing that will knock me out cold when it's time for me to go to sleep? Or are you saying, I, Derek, will knock you out cold with my punch? Or something else? I'll need explanation. Otherwise, we'll just have to write off your contribution as enigmatic unparsableness. Feels good to have enough food in my belly. Now, the next order of business is to pull some monorails. It was coal. You still don't make any sense. Okay, well, that's I I don't know who Cole is. I don't care about Cole. He does periodically come here and say his own name for no reason, but yeah, fuck you too. And have a good night. It's nice to meet you always. Here in Ireland. Slowly, man. Why do you want me to be slow? Have I ever been to Louisiana? I have. I've been to Baton Rouge. I've been to New Orleans. It was quite some time ago. But I have been to New Orleans on 2 separate occasions, actually. You want a pulled pork sandwich so bad right now. Pulled pork sandwich is something that's almost always going to sound good if you're hungry. It's a good sandwich. It's a worthy sandwich to want. HU, my friend. Hi. Correction. Hi, my friend. Hi, Amankos Baranbayev. How's it going? There ain't nobody behind me but shutters, okay? Some shutters back here. And that's fine. So I've determined that there's a bit of a problem with these new glasses of mine that I did not know was going to be a problem. But these screws, they're just like instantly starting to unscrew and come out. You live about 2 hours from NOLA, New Orleans, in a small town that nobody seems to know about, but I'm in NOLA a lot. It's pretty nice there. I am okay. Nice to see you alive. It's nice to see me alive for me too. The higher says stop intellectualizing, but I'm not sure to whom the higher is addressing that. If me, well, I'm just going to continue being me. So, if you view that as intellectualizing too much, then it'll just continue to be that probably. Super glue the screws in is a good suggestion, Acacia. You are full of wise suggestions. I guess the higher is probably carrying a certain amount of like burden from some of their missteps around here. So they come back occasionally to try to remedy and try to somehow rewrite history, I guess. You ended up putting tape over the screws. I'm 53 years old. Let's talk about how about of U.S. is going to be ruining soon. Well, I mean, the U.S. is not in its most robust spot at the moment. That's certainly the case. The country has problems, but I have faith in our citizen democracy and the nation's fundamental health institutionally, legally, so to speak. We just need an actually competent leader. Would be nice. But most of all, I think what the U.S. needs to experience is some passage of time from the horrifically ill-advised COVID policies. Because obviously economies don't recover instantly from some mass hysteria that prevents everybody from working for years, or most people from working for years. It's not like an economy can handle that. It's not like people had those kind of reserves in order to be able to afford that in the first place. And attempts to postpone the day of reckoning with whatever kind of subsidies or whatever. Only it may have in that moment eased some of the harms, but it made the lagged harms, because the inflationary crunch lags behind the policy, much worse. So, I mean, that's the number one thing that needs to happen is real earning power needs to adjust to keep pace with reduced buying power as a response to the inflation. The economy is awful now. In all my time working, I've been able to find a new job pretty quickly. I've now been looking since December with not a single answer. Never seen anything like it. It's crazy. Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure that Trump will be POTUS. I don't know who's going to win for sure, but I know I'm not going to vote for either of them. Well, I needed two because I was trying to fix this one. I need to be able to see the one I'm fixing, Hello. So I mean I agree. The global freak out, panic, idiotic, lockdowny, centralized control kind of response to the COVID virus was unprecedented. It was the only time in all of human history that the whole world all took, misunderstood what ought to be prioritized in the outset, then continually doubled down on their wrongness again and again and again until it caused the globe to lose, I'm figuring, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20% of its total wealth. Pretty crazy. Ant Life says to just let the hair go. I'm not purposefully keeping it, it just hasn't fallen out. What you're asking me to do is more work, not less work. You need to think a little harder. Or better. Better is better than harder, I guess. You need another ideology. Chinese well instructed about it, or maybe Russia. Well, I mean, I don't need any other ideology. It sounds like you've got a chip on your shoulder, Americos, and that's fine. So You can have your perspective all you want. I'm an American patriot, so I want the best for the country, and to the extent that I can provide some help by running for president and at least demonstrating the discursive habits we need to be practicing, then I plan to do that. Well, it is the case that the U.S. has sacrificed basically all of its claim to legitimacy as some kind of global hegemon or shining city on the hill. It nevertheless is the case that we're a better hegemon than any of the other alternatives. And it's also the case that the world's better off with us behaving as a hegemon rather than as a bunch of divided partisan morons who, like, oh, Biden's in favor of Ukraine, then I'm in favor of Russia. Even though Russia's our enemy and Ukraine's our ally, and no sane person should be in favor of Russia regarding Ukraine. Right? So we need a sane man like me to tell everybody these basic facts and truths and stuff. And hopefully that will happen in about 4 years. And then, unfortunately, I'll have to be president if I win for 4 years. I'm not looking forward to that. Obviously, I don't like the idea of having that incredibly stressful and significant job. But I do accept the reality that I'm the only one truly competent and capable of doing it. So I will at least run. It's my duty as an American citizen and as a patriot to step up, since apparently nobody else in the entire fucking country can do the job, and even can even do a passably enough horrible job to qualify as barely acceptable. There's like not a single other person in the country who's even barely acceptable. So obviously I'm gonna have to step up and do it. These are interesting times, true. And that's why the Muslims, they say a curse is, may you live in interesting times. They think of that as a curse, not a blessing, right? It makes perfectly good sense. Interesting times are volatile, chaotic times. And people will have as their prime objective, prime directive in life, not to be surprised, to have their expectations and realities line up as close as possible. So, I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of people, not just Americans, all over the world. People are very susceptible to certain kinds of wrongnesses regarding political status quos or realities in the world. Most people want something they can grok, with their NI and their FI. So, like Boba Fett, he doesn't really support Putin and Russia. He's doing that as an expression of dissatisfaction with shit in his own life, because it's easy to understand if authoritarian Putin standing up against the muddled bureaucratic meowing of actual democratic process. It's simple, it's easy, it's satisfying, right? It's totally fucking stupid and wrong, but it's that, right? Please, sir, don't talk about religion. Jesus was a Jew. I want you to know that. Okay, well, you want me to know things. It's fine for you. You get to want whatever you want in life. Almost everything that we mean by religion, philosophy, and science, and it means as little to us as a color means to a blind man. I missed the first half of this quote. Grok means to understand so thoroughly that the observer becomes a part of the observed, to merge, blend, intermarry, lose identity, and group experience. It means almost everything that we mean by religion, philosophy. What are your thoughts about? My thoughts about Israel and Palestine are as follows. I was debating impacts linked to Israel and Palestine back when I debated in high school in the 80s. I would also point out that your question is obviously a loaded question that displays a ridiculous bias, even though it is the case that Israel is in the wrong. You are worse in some sense because of your failure to engage in civil discourse about the matter. So here's my position on Palestine and Israel. I don't care how free Palestine is. I don't want it. You couldn't pay me enough to carry that shit away. Obviously, the Israelis need to stop being so attached to this little pet apartheid state thing they got going on. It's not flying, right? But I've already articulated this plenty of times. And it's not like anything's changed since it was like that in the 70s, even, or like ridiculous, right? So, Israel, Palestine, most of all, what I think about you is shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear any more about it. Well, that's not true, the ant life. There are plenty of atheists in the world, right? We don't all believe in God. I use the term grok to mean to holistically know something that cannot be deconstructively known. Okay, ant life. Well, I could say random things about groups too. Whenever somebody starts talking about groups as though it's a meaningful commentary or anything, all I can do is shake my head and get my face ready to be palmed. Just stop, all right? No good comes from that sort of stupidity. Don't do reification fallacies. Only individuals have agency, real agency. Hey, cool down. I got scared to hear your loud voice. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to put you on timeout where I'm assuming you can't hear anything. Okay, well, again, Omankos, there's nothing to do with the Jews, right? There's nothing at all to do with the Jews or the Muslims. The nation state of Israel's policies create an apartheid state that's unacceptable. They need to get their collective heads out of their asses and change that policy. See how intelligent people talk about things? Instead, you want to be all outraged. Just check your outrage at the door. I'll be outraged by outrage, wrongness, stupidity, etc., which are appropriate for me to be outraged about. But even then, I'll do it in a pleasant enough fashion. No, I mean, I think there's a natural urge that people have that's good. People want justice, right? And people understand justice in its simplest form. One individual violates the rights of another individual, and the first individual, who is the rights violator, has committed a crime and is punished to re-establish the equilibrium that existed before that crime is committed. That's how people understand justice at its base level. Unfortunately, when they see circumstances that are unjust and there's no individual to blame because there's no specific act or crime committed against another specific individual, then they don't know what to do. So they use the same kind of mechanism of understanding justice, a blame mechanism, in a situation where blame won't do you any good or get you any information or knowledge about anything. So, well, it's not true that we all believe in one God. So, like, for example, Hindus don't all believe in one God, and Buddhists don't, atheists don't, pagans don't, you know. Well, I've suggested before, Man Coast, that a great solution to this, I'm going to take all of the people out of Israel and Palestine both. Take them all out of there, and we're going to get 2 pieces of African wildlife park stuff land, right? And we'll take all the animals from those 2 African wildlife parks on opposite sides of Africa. We'll put all the animals in the Holy Land. We'll make it into like a safari adventure zoo casino, Holy Land theme park thing, right? And then Israel can have their landlocked chunk of wildlife preserve in Africa, and Palestine can have theirs, and then both of them can go fuck themselves forevermore. Do you understand that that is the best solution? Yes. Will we get that solution? No. Obviously not. Because Israel's like, this is our holy spot. And Palestine's like, this is holy too. Shut the fuck up. Go to Africa, you fucks. Well, that's I'm an excellent teacher, but I'm not in the mood to be an excellent teacher right now. So if you don't understand, too fucking bad. I'm Christian. I do believe in the same God that the Jews and the Muslims believe in. But not everybody does. So what are my thoughts on this? My thoughts on this are I'm done trying to explain it to you. If you don't understand right now, rewind, listen again, or just resign yourself to not understanding. Being too prideful is a sin. Well, maybe being too prideful is a sin, but false modesty is a lie, and that's even worse. Are you Butcher from The Boys, the Amazon Prime TV show? Is that which Butcher you are? I'm wondering what's going to happen. Have I been to prison? No, I've never been to prison. I did get arrested one time, but I did not see the inside of a jail cell. I paid the fine, pled no contest, They let me out. Let me leave the state. I was busted for, guess what, of course. Guess what? I was busted for marijuana possession in the state of Oklahoma. Just get out of here, Oklahoma. It's a deadly sin. I've never seen, I won't say I've never seen or heard of anyone who was killed by pride, but it's not that common. Pride seems for me always to cometh before the fall. Like, if I'm like, yeah, I'm the shit, I'm so great, whatever, then the fall is soon to come. However, it is the case also that I'm not going to engage in deception. So when I'm correct about something, I'm correct about it, exclusively correct. To the extent that you agree in full with me, you are also correct. But to the extent that there's any disagreement, and it's not in some area of non-exclusivity, then I'm exclusively correct. I'm not going to position it as anything else. I'm not being prideful about it. If anything, I'm annoyed. Alex was asking me interesting questions earlier about the difficult relationship one unavoidably has with correctness. He said, Oklahoma, this word is from men which are eliminated. I mean, yeah, if you mean it's an Indian word, Oklahoma, a lot of our states are named after Indian words. Minnesota, Oklahoma, North Dakota. That's rather common. We all did, but that smell will get you every time. What smell? Oh, the weed. Yeah. Well, I was being dumb. I mean, I was speeding through Oklahoma in my car with California plates with expired tags, and I was cleaning a weed pipe with a blowtorch while driving with my knees. So, needless to say, the Oklahoma State Patrol concluded that I would be a good person to pull over. They weren't wrong. I had a lockbox full of weed, which they forcibly opened. What's the point of having a box to lock? So they're just going to break it open. Being too prideful in a bar fight. I'm not pride in those areas. I don't think I'm tough like that. If somebody wants to physically fight me, I just concede right away. No, you will win this fight, so I don't want to fight you. I think what you're saying is that before they became Americans, when they were still shitty Europeans, they did some shitty things. But once they became Americans, those shitty things had already been done. Good point, Amancos. You are so angry, right? And you're so trying to provoke as a means of exercising your anger out on the world, just because I happen to be American, right? Look, obviously, I had nothing to do with killing any Indians. It happened way before I was born, and nobody who's alive now was ever victimized by anybody in that colonial time, because obviously we don't live that time anymore. When you look at history, you can find an endless succession of fucked up shit. I can't be responsible for what happened hundreds of years ago. I can be responsible for what I do and say. So let's discuss again what things you can be held accountable for. Your behavior and your actions. What things you can be fairly criticized for. Your behavior and your actions. You just love ducking true? I don't know what that means. So I get it that you're like, India's good, bad people bad. No, okay, well, you're not interested in correctness, okay? What you're interested in are things that you emotionally feel are powerful, what you use the word truths, okay? That's just because you've mistaken what you want and your powerful outrage, maybe justified, maybe not, who knows, right? You've mistaken that for relevant to correctness or truth. It's not relevant, and in your case, it's dragging you as far away from it as it can. Hi there, Cyrillic. Ute. Nipney. Zoop. Sanks. Hi. I'm not going to translate your squiggles, obviously. Can you go on an adventure again? It's fun to watch. Why Eric get angry on me? Let me count the ways, Rahul Reader. I don't want to explain myself to you. I've spent too much time dealing with you already, being fair and forthright in my dealings with you, trying to explain things, and I'm done now. I don't care if you fail to learn. Inky Pinky Cuddle Chug. I'm gonna go with hmm. 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 Nurture Scorcher? Why does he read my personal chat? I read things in the chat, okay? Hey there. What's going on, Katie? It's Katie. Um, she's Flow State's wife, girlfriend, or whatever she is. Um, I'm asking because of the t-shirt. Are you good? This is Casa Bianca Pizza Pie, and it's a shirt that I got at a restaurant where I really like their lasagna there. I actually don't. Their pizza's great too, but I don't get their pizza because I so much like their lasagna. I saw Taylor was streaming again earlier and had a lot of people there, but I also got a notification from YouTube saying your membership to Flow State has been canceled because he's in trouble. We'll let you know if he gets out of trouble. So I'm sorry to hear about that. Am I a pizza iolo? I don't know what that is. I'm gonna guess no. Um, we don't have. Oh, he's been demonetized, huh? What did he get demonetized for? What happened? He can still get money from like people sending him PayPal, like I did that one time. Or what's the thing that he? Oh, Cash App is it called? Phil K is telling you gay. Will you place him on timeout now? He asked me if I were gay, which is perfectly fine. Even if he had said, you seem gay, I would have just said, well, I could be pretty, I guess, but I'm not. I, I'm not for either of them, a man code. I'm not going to vote for anybody that I don't actually want to represent me. I'm not going to vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm not going to vote against somebody, right? I don't think either Trump or, I mean, Trump, I was exacerbated by him consistently throughout his entire term. Kamala Harris has taken me from no particular opinion about her to absolutely despising her over the course of just a couple of weeks, predicated solely on the horrible commercials she keeps showing in California, which prove her to be a woman of little honesty, integrity, or intuition. He makes factually like things that just are both false, purely pandering, and not jurisdictionally relevant to the job she's running for. So I know the Biden administration was they get they would in other times they would get a few points for doing nothing, right? A do nothing administration generally is a pretty good administration, depending on the time, like the decade, the like what's going on in the world. You can see the moon behind me. Okay, you still can't see me, I guess, but you know, what's so important about seeing me anyway? There. Now you can see me and everything else. However, I can't see what you're saying. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's what damn Daniel's damn dad, damn Daniel Sr. once said to me. Because I can't have the flash on with backwards camera, you know. I can only have the flash on with frontwards camera. And if I have frontwards camera, then obviously I can't read the chat because I'm in front of the camera, not behind it. So now I'm going to go inside and I'm going to poop. I feel like I have another poop coming on. I've had a couple poops earlier today, but you know, it was quite a long time ago now. It's the middle of the night, basically tomorrow morning. I think I'm kind of just getting a head start. I have arrived early at my destination of tomorrow morning's poop by a few hours. I offered to be UAP bait. Well, I did see a UAP out there, but I'm pretty sure it was a drone. So don't worry, listen. You're not going to see any poop, I promise. You're going to see something super pleasant and appealing the whole time. I'm going to let you look right here at this. I think it's fair to say you're going to love this, okay? Once you see what I'm talking about. Once you see what you're going to get to look at the whole time. That's right. You guessed it. It's a plug hole outlet. It's an outlet. You're like, oh God, that is so eating appropriate. Nothing compliments a delicious meal like looking at an outlet. You are a happy guy that your wife is not interrupting your life being. You idiot. My wife doesn't interrupt my life being. She joins me and we have fun together when she feels like it. And she doesn't when she doesn't. You know? Red is for on, black is for off, is correct. You are correct about that. That might be confusing to some people because normally red means stop in America, you know? They both look like kind of alarmed faces, huh? Hi, Rachel, darling. What a wonderful delight to have you here, engaged in this live stream with us. Bopet, will you not be gross, please? There's no reason to be gross. There's no reason to be gross and crass. Like, you hear me talk, what do you hear? You hear a man who only talks about the blandest and most family-friendly of topics, and always and only with the most blandest and family-friendly of language. You're not going to hear me refer to any parts of the body between the knees and the belly button. They will not get talked about at all. I gave up on it. I mean, snuggle is the clue, right? So it's got to be a different word meaning snuggle. I was thinking like nurture, cuddle, or was cuddle the clue? If it was cuddle, then snuggle is probably the best bet. And what's the other one? What's the other clue? Cuddle chug? Okay. So 2-syllable words for chug. You've got shotgun. You've got imbibe, potentially. You've got drink. You need 2-syllable. Imbibe, shotgun, swallow, gulp, wallow, swallow. Is it wallow, swallow? Is it wallow, swallow? You are looking at an outlet. I'm having a serious discussion right now, Amancos. What is unserious about this? And besides which, I am not the person who's likely to follow commands. All right. I generally don't appreciate being told what to do. A cigarette would have helped. Cigarette would have helped. With what, though? I mean, yeah, I miss cigarettes. Wallow, swallow, I said. Because cuddle and wallow, okay, kind of. Could be a snuggle. Nah. See, hunker. Hunker, spelunker. You could hunker down, you know. Too tenuous a connection. Okay. Chug. Well, it's got to be swallow or imbibe or consume or slake's 1 syllable, so. Inhale, potentially, if you want to focus on the fast aspects of it. Let me go have some smoke and enjoy you more then. Okay, fine. I'll see you after you smoke. I'm going to be done in here in a second. And then I'm going to go back into the living room and I will pull some bomb rips. And unfortunately, unlike you, Amancos, I don't get to have a cigarette. Because I quit smoking. I'm having trouble with this one. There aren't that many synonyms for snuggle or cuddle. And it has to be 2 syllables. And chug, 2 syllable synonyms. Nurture. I give up. I don't know. Half of the Inky Pinky solution has been mentioned. Muzzle, guzzle? Guzzle's a good one. Guzzle's a good synonym. That's great. You came up with another synonym for chug. I appreciate that. It's wonderful work. But guzzle. Nuzzle. Nuzzle guzzle. Yeah. Nuzzle guzzle. You hear a kitty. Yes, I hear a kitty too. He wants me to watch him eat, as he usually does. Oh, likely story, Ruben. Typo. More likely, you see affectionate cuddling as being the same thing as muzzling another person. Because you're a domineering control freak who's always telling Acacia to shut up. Huh. You think that's love. I didn't say you were a Muslim. I did not say you were a Muslim. Nor did I assume you were a Muslim. Your name doesn't sound Muslim. Crunchy boy. Crunchy crotch croutons. Would you like a bowl of crunchy crotch croutons? They're the crispiest. In high school, I was voted most likely to eat crotch croutons. He's always saying, shut your mouth. He's a crunchy boy. That's true. About Ruben and Trouble. They're both crunchy boys. I mean, this cat is quite insistent. He really much prefers eating when I'm standing right here. He will eat if you'll start him off, maybe, and then you go walk away and he'll keep eating for a little while, you know. But if he had it his way, Camille, just go outside. Oh, God. When Trouble goes to stand at the door, this is one thing I'll say about Trouble, okay? When he goes to stand at the door and I open it, he goes right outside. I ain't no fibber. I ain't no fibber. Fibber. Well, if that's the case, then you shouldn't need a defibrillator. So why are you asking to borrow mine? Important questions by important people. There. Good title for a show, too. Probably something like dogs coming with you to the bathroom because they do to protect you from predators in the wild. Yes, I think that is what it is because he's a former, I think you nailed it right on the head, Goblin. Because he's a former stray. And also because whenever I go to the bathroom, he will come and sit next to me, watch me while I'm going to the bathroom, like protect me while I'm going to the bathroom. But make clear during this process that he expects me to go watch him eat afterwards. It's fair trade. Except I don't want you to watch me go to the bathroom. And I don't want to watch you eat. And neither of us need to be protected. But, you know, it's a never-ending arms race. You know, it's like Trouble busts out some new meows, some new strategies. I catch on to him and realize I'm being controlled by this cat again. Sometimes he has more complete power over me, sometimes less complete power over me. I never really have any power over him. But there's no explaining cats. That cat is both a cat and an ENFJ cat. So I'm just not going to be able to win that fight. Where are my meows? Here's this one. Eric doth protesteth too much. What am I protesting about? Am I protesting the Israel-Palestine situation? Am I protesting against police violence? You know, Winston's mom, I've thought about it occasionally. I try not to dwell on such morbid notions, but um, I don't know. Maybe something short-lived, not probably, certainly not. I mean, I don't know. Never say never. Who knows? But don't be afraid to kick him out of there, Rachel. It's like you don't need any reason to prevent him from going into meow room except that you choose arbitrarily at this moment to not let him be in there. So just kick him out whenever you want. Okay. I'll admit, Acacia, I don't dislike him sitting at my feet. I don't, I wouldn't request it of him though. And if it comes as part of a bargain where then I have to go watch him eat, I reject this bargain. I decline. No, thank you, Trouble. And Trouble also, he catches mice outside. He does do that, and he actually does eat the mice. He consumes them whole. He consumes the whole thing. Swallow eats it all. You can hear him crunching the bones, and he'll eat the whole thing. That's if I don't get it from him before he does that. It's like the middle of the night, and I'm sleeping. That's when that happens. Okay. All right, Acacia, I'll come fully clean. I basically have to beg Trouble to come watch me poop every time. He's hesitant, but he says, only if you then watch me eat, which I agree to and then complain about. It's really, I'm the problem here. You know, it's a tiny cancer machine? Plutonium. Yeah, you ain't no fibber. I'm gonna play this one off as um I thought that bragging wasn't allowed, and then if I told the truth, I'd be bragging. Yeah, exactly. I'm just not up there enough to enforce it myself. But Rachel just needs to remember that she and I give Trouble everything that's good in his life. He has everything a cat can want, ask for, and he still wants even more. So do not be afraid to set firm, arbitrary boundaries. Like the other day, I threw I think it was, what was it? I guess it was a lighter, like a big lighter at him. I didn't hit him with it, but it it hit the ground near him, and that caused him to like get spooked. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, Acacia, thanks for letting me know that. So I just want to tell everybody that Rachel and I did a pretty great job of avoiding some of the crowds in the supermarket today, which had horribly bunched crowding. Like it would be fine over here where nobody was, but we'd be over here where everybody was, and then we'd be over here, everybody be there. And then like everybody decides to go check out at the same time. So there's massive lines in the front, and you can't even walk along the front. I think Rachel and I did a pretty good job of avoiding those traffic jams, and I'm bragging about it because it's allowed right now, actually preferred. So I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. I'm pretty pleased with the 60-second approximately long short, which is way longer than I normally make such things, that I did today to the Johnny song, We Went to Town for Errands. I was pretty pleased with that. It's not as good as the one I did last time, but live and learn. I make adjustments, etc. Nobody bats 1,000. So I was perhaps more pleased by just a couple of shorter shorts that I made of just me and Rachel singing along with songs in the car. Since now in shorts you can use, official songs in your short, well, might as well. Rachel had this disgusted look on her face as we kept encountering these crowds. She was just like, what the hell is going on in the supermarket today? You're so Ruben. That'd be a good name for your channel, Ruben. With an exclamation point. Or you could forego the exclamation point and put 2 more O's, and then you just have a period. I'm so Ruben. Period. And then you could have like a recording of a studio audience that says, you'd be like, well, we've got a lot of fun stuff for today, such as this. Okay, it might be a little esoteric, but you know me. And you push the button, and the studio audience says, you're so Ruben. That's so Ruben. That'd be fine too. Yeah. That's so Ruben. I like it. So anyway, everybody, hi. Welcome to That's So Ruben. I'm your host, Ruben. And just to give you an idea about what this show is going to be kind of like about and stuff, I just want to tell you about what happened earlier. I went out to a famous place here, local in San Antonio. It's a hot dog stand known as Darren's, okay? And I went up there, and the menu's fairly long. So I started asking questions of the clerk. Before long, I started hearing some huffing and puffing behind me. And I realized, oh, heck, there's come to be a line forming behind me, and I'm holding everybody up. That's so Ruben. Anyway, we all make mistakes. Our message here is live, love, and learn. And today I learned an important lesson about how to be loving by living a little bit more observantly. If I'd been paying a bit more attention, had a bit more mindfulness, I might have noted those people gathering in line and have avoided today's problem. I hope you too can learn from my little story and emerge a better person. That's it today for That's So Ruben. I've been your host, Ruben, because after all, that's so Ruben. Like that. Yeah. I believe one of you two, either Ruben or Acacia, left a comment not that long ago on Raul Diego's Painting with Ideas. Thanks, a man coast. I haven't heard from her in a while, but I think Rachel's talking to. Oh, you're asking Rachel. I think she was on a group chat with Lou and Kami um, earlier, maybe. Wacacia. Acacia and Wacacia. Eric and Rachel. It hasn't been blue like this in a while. That sounds like um, a lyric to a jazz standard. 'Cause it hasn't been blue like this in a while. Like that, you know. The YouTuber Papa Meat? I can recommend his channel. I don't know Papa Meat, no. Welcome to Wakanda. I am. Mm, Summer's coming to an end. We don't have that much time to summer, you know. What makes a sundress? I was asking this question earlier. I think maybe it was Winston's mom either, even referred to what Rachel was wearing as a sundress. What makes something qualify as a sundress? McCamey Manor, the world's most dangerous haunted house. Papa Meat. 2.42 million subscribers. Wow. He's got a lot of subs. Maybe I'll check it out. Sup, punk? Sup, shorty poppy? So how you doing? Papa Meat. Papa Meat is a good name for this guy. He's got kind of a meatloaf aesthetic going on. So he's also got kind of a Tenacious D aesthetic going on, maybe. The waiver, for those who that don't look it up, even includes not holding them accountable for death, drowning, suffocation, tooth extraction, stabbing, carbon monoxide poisonings, aneurysms, and you can't quit unless they think you've suffered major psychological or physical trauma. Hmm. Well, it sounds like a dark story that I probably don't want to hear. But the worst mobile games tournament, that sounds kind of amusing. Um, the world of online creep catching sounds kind of too dark for me. Deadliest amusement park rides, I can usually handle that. That's not going to bother me too much. Worst Indian street food tournament, horrible. That's going to make me feel like puking. Gross stuff I don't like. Most haunted places in America could be not too dark, depending on what kind of storytelling he does. Dangerous world of chiropractors sounds depressing. Internet's worst alpha salesman. Be fine. Creepiest town in America. Profundity yours, the boomer cult. That sounds kind of interesting. Well, the horrors of incel gooners. What are gooners? What's gooning? Like, I definitely wouldn't want to watch this one, The Cannibal That Was Set Free. It sounds like it's going to offend my sense of justice and my sense of queasy stomach. Um, gooning. What's gooning? Oh, edging. For fuck's sake. Can Gen Alpha just stop making up words all the time? Uh, it just, I don't know. It was just kind of naturally obvious to me right from the get go. There were some things I was a little shady on when I was debating in high school that I wouldn't have been shady on. I wasn't in my adult career, fudging things a little bit here, there, whatever, in ways that I wouldn't do now, or wouldn't do after high school. But I don't know. I just didn't. Nobody explained anything to me. I didn't really understand anything in life, right? And I'm not talking about just debate. It is true that we had a speech coach. We didn't have a debate coach. I just went with what my instincts said to do. How about we argue this? We should argue that. We should argue this thing. We read magazines and cut cards and stuff in the old fashioned way, but there wasn't anything remotely close to the just deluge of possible pieces of evidence that you might read or cut from that there is now. So it was a different world in some sense. You could have told me what? We're going to go play cricket. All right, you go play cricket. And if while you're playing cricket, keep an eye out for any crickets. If you start seeing a lot of them or hearing a lot of them, it might be getting dark. It might be time to go home. All right, so now I know what gooning is. Great. Do we need 2 words for that? I just not long ago learned what edging was. Now I learned there's another word for the same silly concept. Well, the Poltergeist house just sold 1.7 million, so it says it's been swept for ghosts in its claim. BRB Ruben says we got to go to Acacia's bread room. Oh, are you guys together in the same physical space? Ruben's like, it's time for me to have sex with you, lady. Come on, get in there and take off your clothes, and then ee oo ee oo ee oo ee oo ee oo ee oo ee oo. It's gonna be nonstop in and oohing till the cows come home. And then Casey's gonna be like, look at me. That's how it sounds when Acacia makes sweet, sweet love to Ruben. I've not heard it. I'm just intuiting that's probably how it is. Why do you think informal debates tend to go absolutely nowhere? I mean, the number one reason is because they're not debating a specific resolution. The number two reason is neither of them is expressly affirmation or negation. The number three reason is because they're not doing any explicit framework whatsoever. They're not articulating what they'd need to do to win, what their opponent would need to do to win, nor justifying those claims with any appeals to reasonableness. All right, well, cows are typically moody when they come home. They're not having a great time at work right now. Well, it's just there's been a big restructuring. Been a lot of people have been laid off. Everyone's under a lot of pressure. Why are there glasses on the shirt? Because I can easily find them, and they're always in the same place when I put them there. Let's go high. I'm trying to go as high as I can, okay? I'm just limited in the amount of elevation I can attain, in part because I'm such a heavy weed smoker that, I've got a bit of a high tolerance. Oh, you're the one making the ew sound? No. The ew, ew, ew sound, that's actually the bed springs. The sound that Acacia's making is eh. Okay? The sound that you're making is wah, 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 whoop. Wah, 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 whoop. That's the sound that you make. What's your framework parts of debate look like in practice? Do you have any videos on that where I could find something like that? Well, a framework debate. So, like, let's say you're talking about a resolution style debate rather than plan style debate. Okay. So, like, the resolution is a just government provides, ensures access to affordable health care for all its citizens. Let's say the resolution or something like that. The framework part is where you start at, right? You say, resolved, a just government ensures low-cost healthcare access for all of its citizens. Then you read that first, okay? Then you'll say in that instance, let's say it's the Lincoln Douglas topic, you'll have your criterion, your value, and your value criterion. So the value in that topic is kind of implied as justice because it says justice in it, right? It doesn't mean you have to use justice as the value, but you're going to lose an argument against somebody who does use justice as the value. That's the value that should be used. So you're going to use value, justice there. And then your value criterion will be like, let's say you're affirming that resolution. Your value criterion might be something like sustaining a minimum standard of living above the poverty line or something like that, right? You could be specific like that or just say ensuring a minimum standard of living, ensuring the minimum standard of living doesn't drop below, ensuring that the standard of living doesn't impact lower order needs. Okay, let's say that. So in that case, then you'll say that justice is best attained in a society by a government, not by ensuring wealth equality, but instead by preventing the poorest from being too poor or experiencing the harms thereof. So then in your explication of the value criterion, you might make that statement I just made, that we're going to argue on a framework level that justice on a societal level, since it can't be adjudicated purely as a rights issue, and since the resolution frames this question of access to healthcare as a justice framed question, then we're going to recognize that equality or equity between different individual members of our society as a whole is going to be fair game for a justice question. So accordingly, we're going to have to realize that we cannot successfully attain justice by upholding equality as the desired value. That's why justice is the value, not equality. But we can recognize that by keeping an artificially high bottom for society, that the country attains a more just society on the grounds that um, it precludes people from suffering basic level need failures. Like, no matter how bad it gets, we shouldn't have people who starve to death because they can't afford food. We shouldn't have people who freeze to death because they can't afford energy for heating. We shouldn't have people who die because they can't go to the doctor and their cut gets infected and gangrenous and it kills them. Everyone should have a basic minimum level of that comprises a more just society. So then in the framework, then you're going to have to say, essentially, if I were going to argue framework, I'd sidestep it by saying, I mean, that'd be a tricky topic, right? Because normally, if you want your value to be justice, you want your criteria to be rights. But if in this instance you can't have a criterion of rights because it's already initiating the topic as an entitlement framed through justice. So if you're going to try to argue in terms of rights, you have to say this is the least violatory expression of communitarianism, I guess. You could argue that this sort of provision of a artificially high bottom to replace existing programs that benefit people other than the poorest. You could make that argument, in which case you have a plan text, right? Then in that case, you have to have a plan text. You can run a plan, but the thing is, you establish exactly what it is you're doing, how you're defining things. If you successfully make your case, you've upheld the value of justice by utilizing this mechanism, right? As you've articulated in your framework. You're defining your terms, like, for example, if there's some vagary like basic level healthcare or something, it doesn't mean anything specific. It's meant to be there in the resolution to limit the scope of the claim of the resolution, but also it's going to force the debaters to define that term. So there's going to be terms like that you have to define. And then if the two debaters, and you put those definitions in framework. So like when you're actually reading the framework part of the case, it's like resolved, blah, 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 blah. Value, value criterion, You might read a card for the value, but in this case, you probably wouldn't. Value is justice because the resolution includes the word justice in its phrasing. This means that there's no way to better affirm or negate this resolution under a value other than justice. It basically instructs us to use this value. And then, but then you'd probably read a card for your value criterion. So you find some philosopher or whatever that says, what's actually more important than equality among the various individuals in a society is that the poorest individuals in society don't have still have a high standard of living compared against absolute poverty. Okay, so you'll find some guy who says that basically, and then you'll read that for your value criterion. Then you'll read your definitions, and then you might even make some like judging instructions with your criteria. So you'd be like, so my value criterion is maintaining artificially high floor, but my round criterion is whichever side best argues the relative value of an artificially high bottom against other alternatives as either better or worse than other alternatives should win the round. So in that case, you're saying you can't just negate what I'm saying on its harms by itself. You're supposed to, something else is better. You're going to need to provide a preferable alternative because if I were going to make that argument, I'd say because the resolution compels us to argue under this frame or something like that. You'd make all that argument in framework. And then when you get into the body of the case, then you go things like, an inherency argument. Contention 1, in the status quo, this percentage of the population suffers these kinds of harms from a lack of funding for medical care. Subpoint A, status quo solutions are inadequate. And then you point out that status quo solution is really just allowing people to be free riders off the emergency system. You'll articulate some harms of that, etc. Right? Then you go contention 2. You make your case, and then at the end of each of your contentions and shit, you link it back to those points you made in the framework. You say, like, remember, Judge, we both agree that we're attempting to uphold the value of justice. My opponent has not responded to my value criterion at all, which means he accepts it as a meaningful way to attain that value of justice. It's too late for him to respond to my value criterion now, so that is already validated by him. We can just accept that. Accordingly, since this contention establishes factually that that affording a minimum level of health care would make substantial progress towards attaining a society in which nobody suffers the harm of a naturally low bottom, but instead everyone's prevented from the worst harms by an artificially high bottom. It's maximally attaining that against alternatives or against the status quo, depending on how you're arguing it, That's not a very good explanation. It's very extended, not concise. They weren't the best examples or demonstrations, but hopefully you get the gist. I know you're a very, very smart person. Hopefully you get the gist. I don't say that to everybody. You may know that. What's the difference between a value and framework? Framework includes the value. Framework includes the value criterion, includes definitions, includes observations, which are things that you expect to not be argued. Observation: the sun sets in the west. Okay, Observation: in general, there is less light at night than during the day. Something like that. You don't feel the need to establish it. It's not just the value and the value criterion. The value and the value criterion are for Lincoln Douglas specifically. There's also the round criterion, which is, or sometimes called, judges' instructions or whatever people call it various things. But when you say, Judge, you should pick the person who better does meow to win the round. That's a regular criterion. So you have definitions, observations, value criterion, regular criterion, and that's about it in framework. Um, so that's fine, right? No problem. I think that's it in framework. Unless you're doing some kind of ridiculous kind of AF critique or something in which you might have to address meta framework, but that should never happen. There should never be an AF critique. Hello, do you consider people who got rubbed at gunpoint goofies? I don't consider them anything other than apparently victims of being mugged, being a stick up. Okay, well, I don't want any of your free plastine, okay? Get out of here with your free plastine. Nobody wants it. It's clearly past the due date. It's spoiled. I can smell it from here. I don't want anything to do with it. Hi, Sephoradontist. Sephoradontist, do you want to be an orthodontist? Is that Sephora similar to? I mean, are you named? Is your name Sephora because of that store Sephora, even though your name is spelled differently than that store? That's what I want to ask. Hello, Brazil. How are you? Hello, Brazil. How are you? You're Portuguese. You speak Portuguese. You speak Portuguese, not Spanish. Jeez. I watched one of your gymnasts from Brazil competing on the balance beam in the Olympics. And you know what she did? She fell right on her puss. Bam. I couldn't help it. I thought it was hilarious. Grandma groped Goofy. These are the shocking allegations a cast member raised at Epcot earlier this year. You're Sephora. You're Sephora. Does the accent mark mean you're Sephora? Grandma got run over by Epcot Center. Safer. It's safer over here than it is over there. Might be something somebody would say. Write your name. Well, I hope Brazil's fantastic. Thanks, Dominic M. Is that a barbell? You want me to lift a barbell that weighs 149 pounds? No, just 1.49 pounds. Okay, I could probably do that. I don't know if I have such a barbell, but I do want to thank you for your pound sterling and a half. I appreciate it. I don't know if you knew this already, but pound sterling is my favorite currency. It's the fanciest sounding one. I'm sorry to say we only accept pound sterlings. It's the fanciest currency in town. You know, I think they've done some recent testing, and scientists have concluded that it's almost 7 times fancier than the euro. Now tell me Brexit wasn't a good idea. Because it was. They got their currency back. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter that much, you know. Like, if you're, well, I guess for some countries, I'm not really sure what the impacts are. Like, which countries were like, hooray, when the euro replaced their currency versus which countries were boo? Is it the case that the people who had strong currencies in the status quo, they were boo when the euro replaced their currency, and the people with weak currencies in the status quo, they were yay when the euro replaced their currency? Is that how it worked? Intuitively, it would seem to work that way, but I don't really know. I think I might want to play a little song on the guitar. Nothing too strenuous. Just something pleasant and peaceful. Pleasant, peaceful, pure and true. Pleasant, peaceful, good and true. Pheasants and geese are all overdue. See you later. Say pora. Here we go. Ready? Pleasant and peaceful, good and true. Pheasants and geese are well overdue. If you see my niece or my nephew, then just tell them I'll be around soon enough. Pleasant and peaceful, good and true. Pheasants and geese are all overdue. If you see my nest, then you'll see my nephew, and tell him I'll be around in a while. Tell him not to forget to smile. 'Cause pleasantness times are coming our way. Pleasant smells in the evening of the day mean dinner time, happy, fine, and good. exercise, natural incur, doing things that I never heard about anybody needing to have done, but nevertheless it's fun. Pleasantness and decency, goodness and truth, pheasants and geese are all, most always named Ruth. But I don't think that anybody thinks that wickedness and evil are good. So eat your peas and say your prayers like you should. That makes sense, Acacia, that Bobo would request Parker chart. See if I can remember it. Oh, well, he's a Parker tart, lemon squeeze, the friendliest guy that you will see. Westy wants to be your friend, but he comes from around the bend, so it'll be a while till he sees you again. He's Parker tart, lemon squeeze, he's a friend to you and me. International delights, favorite go-to right-hand guy. He's international like him, and also busy like the friend the beaver bee. Busiest creature, busy as a bee, busy as a beaver, and so much busier than Parker tart lemon squeeze. Well, he's Parker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Parker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da. Yes, he's Parker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Parker tart lemon squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da. And if you were to visit him for starts, remember to bring something sour or tart. He's not a fan of sugary treats because he's Parker tart and not Parker sweet. Well, he's Parker tart lemon squeeze, the friendliest guy that you will see. Yes, he wants to be your friend, but he comes from around the bend, so it would be a while till he sees you again. Parker tart. I forgot how to play that one part, so I fucked it up, but whatever. That's just life in the big city. The song before that, Winston's Mom, was a freestyle. I just made it up right then on the spot. So no, you'd never heard it before because it didn't exist before. Well, I'll play something that did exist before right now. What's something that existed before? You know what, Boba Fett? You made me change my mind about what I was about to play. I'm going to play something else now. It's never safe for you to unmute Boba Fett, 'cause I'll show you how to do. You'll hear these words and these songs right now. You'll understand that mad cow disease is in your ears right now. It's never safe to mute around. Why? In fact, horrible. Everything can happen anytime. It's happening now just for you. Go ahead and whine. Whine, Boba Fett. Whine, bitch, and complain. I know you love to do it, so it makes you super lame. I bet you wish you had hadn't stopped muting this before. Now that you learn that you are a stinky old bore. Yeah, whatever, Boba Fett. Your face has too much bass. Okay? So I just say it like you. The thing that sounded real nice just now, that was the Weezer song, Say It Ain't So. Somebody's tiny is crowding my icebox. Somebody's cold is giving me chills. I guess I just oh yeah, alright, feels good inside. Nip on the telly, wrestle with Jamie. Something is a bubbling inside of my bar. Bottle is ready to blow. Hey, it ain't so. Your life is a heartbreaker. Well, the bass isn't even up that high. It's not even up that high. The mids are down all the way. The bass is just in the middle. It's just flat. The bass is flat. The mids are down all the way. The trebles are down all the way. But, okay, fine. Might be a little too bassy. Everybody's a critic, I tell you. It's too bassy. Alright, fine. Boba Fett, fine. Fine, be that way. It's the second night when you start to feel strange and you're wondering if the range is on. Sending sparks a soar in the kitchen sky. An actual night. Is there no top to the dark up above the shelves? Where she stores the child above the sleeping forms of vivid mind figurines of Western lonely types. They lie beneath a million running suns. They're rugged and they're done with the actual night. It's the second night when you start to feel strange and you're wondering if the range is on. Sending sparks a soar in the kitchen sky. An actual night. Is there no top to the dark up above the shelves? Where she stores the chai above the sleeping forms of vivid mind figurines of Western lonely types. They lie beneath a million running suns. provide feedback all you want, Ruben. I was just playing with you. Boba Fett, I'm used to him just wanting to shit on anything he can remotely shit on, so I didn't take his feedback very seriously. When you say it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's right. But it does, then, Boba Fett said something that was correct. It does make a lot of difference as to how I have the camera and mic situated and so forth. And also, how my voice is. If my voice is more trebly, I might need a little less mids and highs on the guitar. Right now, my voice is kind of gravelly, you know. Oops, wrong window. I went to serenade my love at her house the other day. Went up there and started singing, baby, 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 baby. Then her mama stuck her head out the window. What you doing, man? She said. I'm like, oops, wrong window. The next night I went over there again and I started serenading some more. It's called Oops, Wrong Window. It's a similar song called Oops, Wrong Hole. It's a little bit more of an adult theme song, but Oops, Wrong Window. So I threw a pebble at Jenny's window, then I threw a bigger one, and finally threw a rock. Oh, now what have I done? The light turned on, the curtain parted. Who stuck out his head? Why, it was not old Judy, it was instead but Judy's dad. Oops, wrong window, I said to him. You better believe it, son, he said. Now, man, I'm like, chill out. It's fine. I'm just here to serenade your daughter. You can just point me to her window. We'll all be good. Boba Fett, I don't want to get a mic for my guitar. That's dumb. I got an amplifier instead for my guitar. No duh. It makes the guitar loud. If you don't like the tone, I don't need to mic it to change the tone. Obviously, why would I mic the guitar? Is it because this amp's not loud enough? Is it because I want an additional level of audio capture and processing, muddying up the whole equation? No. Because the amplifier is an amplifier because it makes guitar loud enough so you don't need to mic it. People in their crazy ways. One's like, but I want to make everything all the time. Well, I don't, okay? I don't want to mic everything all the time. Hello, everybody. Let's have a jazzy time. Jazzy song, jazzy chord. Everybody loves jazz. Ooh la la, I love jazz chord. That's like the most horrible music ever. Only Mike everywhere is obviously a regular visitor at my house. But the problem is, he kind of lives up to his name. lot of cleaning up after he goes, After he says goodbye. Let's not forget about Columbus Day. It's not Columbus's fault that his way was gay. It was the way of the time after all. He couldn't help but make the Indians fall down dead from smallpox. At least it wasn't big pox. That's what you should remember. Big pox is even worse and causes you to dismember all of your loved ones in a furious homicide. So be grateful for smallpox is dead in your eyes. That song's about smallpox. And this song is about the truth, the path, the way. Okay? The truth, the path, and the way. Everybody can say, I've got the truth and the path and the way. If you just be more like me. See, the problem is a lack of intellect like mine, or a failure to be creative enough in time. I'm going to project what I know and project what I was. Instead, I'll think I'll become everybody's favorite cuz, yeah. Well, that was fine for a freestyle, I suppose. But nobody wants to play anything like that because it's the fact that making sure that wants to fly is pointless entirely. Yes. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I've got something to say. I can strangely be forgiving to those who stay awake all night, and mostly voices say to give in. They'll try to sap your will to find. But whether I'm supposed to be here or just be seen for cloudy day in Los Angeles. And today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. Day is nearly done. Someone buy us some more time. Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I've got something to say. Something to say. OMG, OMG, look at me, look at me. OMG, OMG, look at me, look at me. OMG, what's so nice? Oh yeah, yeah, that's my life. Eating rice, being nice, it's my life. That's my life, is eating rice and being nice. Thanks. Thanks for your approval, Sky Gowland. I appreciate it. Kind of you. Whew. It's hot in here. It's hot as the dickens. What is the dickens anyway? Like, can something can you have anything as the dickens? Long as the dickens? Short as the dickens? Etc. If so, what could the dickens possibly be? They can have all attributes of all things. Okay. You guys precariously stay there. Pow. Lights off. Pow. It's getting a little bit more intimate in here now. Let's have one more pow. Pow. Oh my gosh. You know what? Everybody who's here right now, thank you for being here. I'm so glad those other people left. They were bugging me, but you guys are absolutely amazing. And I'm just glad that we have some quiet time, just you and me, where we can spend, getting to know each other a little bit better in a casual, intimate setting that's both sultry and sensual. Winston's mom says it's 63 degrees. I'm not sure if that's where she is or where I am, but where I am, Winston's mom, according to my computer, it's 64 degrees. So, obviously, you're wildly off. You should check your figures before you wreck your griggers. Yeah, you get to be wild. Winston's mom, when she wants to get wild, she refers to 64 degrees as 63 degrees. And she snickers all the way home. Hee 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 hee. I fooled them. Fahrenheit is weird. Miles are weird. I don't think miles are weird. I tell you what I think's weird is meters. Because you need a unit between centimeter and meter, right? Like, where's the foot size? Right? You have an obvious place between inch and yard called the foot. Where is the equivalent for the metric system? Does it even have it? No. It'd be like what? A third of a meter? Garden says, aye, laddie. Good morning to you and your family. Celsius and kilometers. Schmelsius and schmolblometers. Eric, I've seen you use DC and H subtypes to explain differences in people of the same type, but then I've heard you also disregard subtypes as a concept. A long time ago, I did reference various, not just that, but a couple of other different subtype taxonomies. Quite a long time ago, I disavowed subtypes entirely, and I have maintained that position ever since. I mean, I haven't quite disavowed it all the way entirely, in the sense that it's plausible, for example, that while you can cook an egg anywhere from 0.00001 seconds to 100 years, within the cooking time range of meow minutes to meow minutes, you're going to get the range of possible expressions from soft boiled to medium boiled to hard boiled or whatever, right? So, in other words, different times that kind of fall in the boundary areas of those categories, nevertheless, are forced to fall into one of those categories. But that's not a very meaningful, it's not a very meaningful distinction to make then in the first place. The point is, it doesn't represent a distinction in the mechanics of a person's cognitive functions. It might represent a distinct expression that is shaded like meow because that ISFJ's personal experience includes a lot of trauma, for example, or it includes a lot of focus on these particular kinds of things to the exclusion of everything else, or something like that. So, yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the nice things about Fahrenheit. Super hot is right around 100 degrees in terms of the day, you know. If you get much over 100, it gets crazy hot. Under 100, it's still hot in the 90s. It's like, you know, it's like a test in school. Nobody should get, in terms of hotness, more than an A plus, 100. But nature is cruel. Sometimes it gives you hotnesses all the way up to 115 degrees or something, you know. Nevertheless, it's more natural and intuitive that hot outside would be right around 100, okay? That makes sense. That freezing outside would be, you know, 32 degrees above zero. Makes sense because obviously there's a lot of coldness below freezing. Zero, that's when you get really cold, okay? Above zero is not really that cold. So 100, that's when it gets hot. That's the delineation of really hot. Zero, that's the delineation of really cold, you know? Accordingly, good night, Acacia. Garden says, I'm new to LiveTube. Some channels are a bit shocking, but every now and again there's some diamonds, true, decent, educational, engaging, interesting, thoughtful channels like yours. Well, thank you, Garden. I appreciate it. Celsius and Fahrenheit meet around -40. That's when Celsius it takes it to get that cold before Celsius finally comes to its senses and agrees with Fahrenheit. That's how cold you got to get Celsius before it comes to its senses. So anyway, that's why Fahrenheit's better. Celsius, one reason you know Celsius isn't as good, Celsius can't even decide on a name. Is it Celsius or is it centigrade? I like to, as often as I can, measure things in terms of bushels and pecks, stones, furlongs, you know, those kind of measurements. Good measurements. How many hands high is this horse? Just great that you mention everyone's name and respond to their comments. Just never know whose life you're saving. All right, don't put that kind of burden on me. I'm already stressed out by every little thing I do that might have hurt someone's feelings. I'm not necessarily good at preventing myself from doing those things, but I sure am good at remembering and punishing myself later. Of course, NASA uses meteors, Goblin. It's a space thing. Centigrade's an old fashioned name for Celsius. Well, you know what's an old fashioned name for Fahrenheit? Fahrenheit. Just one name. That's just one of the many reasons why Fahrenheit's preferable. Would you like to know more about the day that Hawk to a girl threw out the first pitch? Wrong form of threw, but sure. Why not? Well, she was throwing it out of the Mets stadium, which is no longer Shea Stadium. 212 degrees, obviously, Boba Fett. The natural, intuitively obvious temperature at which water would boil. Like, what makes water so important anyway? Why would we define things by, like, let's make zero the freezing point of water? Because, like, water's everything. Water's not that important. Get over water already. Just get over it, centigrade. You centigrade hounds. It was the camp day for kids at the game. That way, the 11-year-old kids learn more about October Girl. Okay, well, it's always going to be some family group's going to always come to the ballpark, so whatever. Blood boiling's more important. My point is, you know, at what point do you really need to go inside with air conditioning when it gets to 100? At what point do you really need to go inside with a heater when it gets to 0? Okay? That's why Fahrenheit places 100 and 0 where they are. The naturally occurring boundaries of inside outsidery. That's not tricky for me, Boba Fett. I grew up with Fahrenheit. I don't think of water boiling at any temperature other than 212, and I don't think of water freezing at any temperature other than 32 degrees. I don't think in Celsius at all. So every American knows what temperature water boils at, 212 degrees. I think it's funny that you you can't imagine being that like native to imperial. Fahrenheit, I guess, is not really imperial units, but whatever you want to call it. Buddy point, high, buddy point. Well, Ray, what I'm saying is, obviously, I would be more comfortable inside with the heater, right? But I could still like work outside at 10 degrees, especially if you're doing some kind of manual labor. Yes, they did, Buddy Cat. They beat the Giants 2-0. Um, you know, you can stay warm enough at 10 degrees as long as you got gloves and stuff on, right? But once it gets to 0 degrees, fuck it. Just go inside. It's too cold. Don't you agree, Rain? Think about that, huh? People go skiing at 10 degrees. 0 degrees, no, girl, you better go inside. It's too cold. It's like 0 degrees is as cold as it should ever get. That's why it's the last thing before negative numbers. But you can't have negative coldness. 0 is as cold as it could get normally. If you get into negative numbers, you know, okay, it's too fucking cold. Same thing with you get over 100. Okay, it's too fucking hot. That's how you know. Because Fahrenheit is logical like that. What temperature does water need to be at to kill fungus, viruses, and bacteria? Well, I would say a hard boil. So let's call it 215, 220. I know, Rain. That's where the funny is, you see. I'm playing any argument that supports the thing that I'm comfortable with is good. And any argument that favors the thing I'm not comfortable with is bad. Well, Pretty Cat, I would point out that in fact, every time it is 10 degrees, I do discover that I am looking for a refreshing treat. However, typically, when I need that refreshing treat, I'm going to aim for something more along the lines of a brisk iced tea. Corn Pop, I don't have a bedtime, actually. Do you have a bedtime? If so, then you're just projecting your own experience onto me. I have actually grown up beyond the age of bedtimes. In fact, I just recently got past bedtime because until just a couple of years ago, my parents were still alive. Obviously, as long as your parents are alive, you do have a bedtime, and it's 7 p.m. For most people. You have lenient parents, obviously, Corn Pop. All humor is just Big Funny's subliminal propaganda campaign. Who's Big Funny? Is it me? I wish I were Big Funny. I'd never make the funny Fortune 500. I wouldn't even be like mentioned in a side article or something. People don't think of me as primarily a comedian or anything. And I don't spend most of my time when live streaming being funny. However, when I am funny, I can come up with some pretty great jokes. For example, the other day, Rachel was talking about one of our favorite musical artists, whose name is Johnny. He had posted about his mom trying out axe throwing. And I said, among African Americans, there are communities who refer to that as ask throwing. I thought that was a pretty good joke. Why was it a pretty good joke? Well, because it was clever. And the fact that it was, somebody mentions axe throwing without missing a beat, bada bing, bada boom, here's your joke. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Goblin. You're wonderful people. I appreciate your positive regard. But, it really depends on my mood. I'm feeling funny. I can be pretty funny. Wayne Lambright. Okay, well, I don't know if I'll be doing that or not. Maybe, maybe not. Only the future knows what the future holds on that question. Other questions, I know what the future holds. But for that question, only the future knows. The future is notoriously tight-lipped. What makes it Seattle's best coffee? I mean, it seems pretty obvious that what makes it the best coffee in Seattle is being better than every other coffee in Seattle. The same way all bests are attained, I guess. Like, I thought Brazilian vagina fall was the best fall of the Olympics. It was the best wipeout that I saw in the whole Olympics. In the future, will robots replace umpires in the MLB? For calling balls and strikes, I think yes. I don't think for for other things, because the other things they need to do are not just calling outs and safes, but determining whether there's you know like catcher interference, or um, like the first or third base umpires make a judgment call on whether the batter went all the way around. Uh, it might have to make a call if somebody goes out of the base pass. They're never going to get rid of human umpires entirely, or not umpires, but the various people on the field, officials. But they probably will get rid of the balls and strikes caller. I think they probably should. Yeah, or a balk, right? Or I saw a weird thing the other day in an A's game. I saw the the pitcher, his cleat caught on the rubber on the mound as he was coming home, and he kind of tripped, and as a consequence, he didn't let go of the ball, and it was just called a ball, even though he didn't let go of it, because once you start your motion home, that's considered you've now thrown a pitch, whether it leaves your hand or not. So it was just called a ball, and the officials gathered to discuss the issue, and it didn't take but a second. They all seemed to pretty quickly agree that it was a ball. There wasn't anybody on base. If there had been, presumably it would have been a balk. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, I didn't know what they were gonna do with that either. I was like, I've never seen this before. I wonder what's gonna be the outcome of this. Turned out it was just a ball. All right, let's go take a little walk around the house, and maybe we'll explore the wonders of nighttime and the wonders of nature for the next 10 minutes. Because once it turns to be 5 a.m., yes, we did pull an all-nighter. Yes, I want to go to sleep before, well, probably, who knows, I might even just stay up all the way to Sunday night before I go to sleep. I've got something in my eye. It's kind of bugging me. At 5 a.m., no, not at 5 a.m. Eric turns into a pumpkin, but at 5 a.m. it's no longer nighttime. It's morning time. So if I'm going to explore the night with the spirit of night patrol in my heart, then I'm going to need to go outside right now. And together we explore the night. Are you ready to explore the night? That's the theme song for the 80s gritty detective series, Explore the Night. No, it's not true that such a series existed, but one could imagine that it did. Don't lie, you're a vampire. Well, I may have some qualities of vampirism, but I would point out the following. I must, first of all, if I am, I'm a day walker because I am not burned by sunlight. Second, I'm not susceptible to the garlic issue nor to the crucifix issue. I may be burnable with holy water because I've not actually put any holy water on me since I don't even know when last. But as far as I can tell, I do show up in mirrors, and I've never transformed into a bat. So if I am a vampire, I got very few of the vampiric powers that you're supposed to get. I feel kind of gypped. Who's there? Wait, guys. Oh my God, did you hear that? What is that? It's like a horror movie thing. That's how they make horror movies. You just get a guy to hold a camera, have a flashlight, and then run. And sound scared. Oh my God, I'm so scared. What is that? Oh shit, oh my God, what is that? Shh, shh, shh. Let's take a look in the sky. I'll have you guys look at the house here. This window should be visible right there. Yeah, it's a little visible for you. Okay, so you're looking towards the house. I will look up in the sky and see if any aliens are here. Oh, what is that? Are those 3 stars? I kind of want to go get my binoculars. Because, you know, I got binoculars that when I purchased them, I like searched Amazon specifically for astronomy binoculars. And they were rather expensive. Not super expensive, but they were like over $200. They are very good binoculars. You can see the dick cheese on a horsefly from 4 miles away. What do you want, kitty? I already watched you eating up already. You're fine. Deal with it. Alright, let's go outside now again with these binoculars. Meow. Go for a night drive in the buggy? Well, you wouldn't be with me for long. Because once we got away from the Wi-Fi from my house, then wouldn't have any connectivity until I got to the other house. If I went over there, maybe briefly while I passed the other house, but I'm gonna go over here because I want to see. Okay, what was I looking at before? Was it those 3 stars? No, my pants are falling down. My pants are always falling down. It's because of my high hips and oh. Jupiter is so bright. I think that must be Mars next to it. It's crazy. I saw Jupiter last night. I was like, that can't be a star. It can't really be a planet either. It seems too bright. But I'm muted? How did I get muted? I must have accidentally muted myself when I was trying to turn the camera around. Okay, eat your fucking food. You don't need me to watch you. Sorry about that. I guess I muted myself. Here. So I don't know for how long I was muted, but I'm assuming quite a while. Boba has everything he needs and more. He's about as well cared for as a cat can possibly be. So anyway, when I was outside, I spotted Jupiter looking huge. That red thing near Jupiter, which I'm assuming has got to be Mars. It's so red, you know. Rachel, though, looked at it with her phone's "What planet am I looking at?" app. No, it just the mute button is right next to the turn the camera the other direction button. So that's what happened there. Not that I know of. Hi, Pete Garrity. How's it going? So this time when I go outside, I will make sure not to mute. I'm not sure if what I'm looking at is Venus or not. What I was showing you, and I don't know if I was muted at the time, it actually did show up on the camera, was apparently Jupiter. Rachel and I identified it, I believe last night or the night before, using her phone app. But it's like shockingly big and bright, so much so that I found it hard to believe it's either a star or a planet. But it is. You can see it just like that in the regular camera. That's no zoom at all. This is zoomed in. Where is it? There. That's zoomed in. You can see the one next to it too. But it's shockingly big and bright. It may have something to do with atmospheric conditions, how close it is to us right now. I'm not sure. It could be a lot of factors in how big a planet or the moon appears on a given night, you know. Venus rise and set in Mariposa. Check out Jupiter in Mariposa, though, Winston's mom. Let's see about, because I think that's what, well, if Rachel's phone app is right anyway, that's what we were looking at there. And Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. And Rachel says it's the brightest natural object in the sky, besides the moon. you know. And, some people say our moon shouldn't count as a moon. The Earth and the moon should count as a dual planet, which is the label distinction is made predicated on you know ratio, the respective sizes plus the nature of the orbital relationship minus those kind of arbitrary standard things that determine whether something qualifies as a planet or not. As usual, the aliens are uncooperative. I've been looking up periodically into the sky for the better part of 50 years, I'm sure. And for probably at least 40 of those, I've wondered, wonder if there are any aliens. Well, once again, they stand me up. I did all the trouble to go outside and look for them, and they continue to not exist. Same with the Sasquatches. Oh, there's the satellite right there. Sure, you can't see it on the. I'm not even gonna bother trying to show it to you on the phone, but it's like a little greenish blue dot, like a little more bluish green colored than the stars around it, but not much. Basically, just looks like the same color as a star, same size, but it's just moving across the sky at fairly high speed. As somebody around here once explained, because most terrestrial origin satellites are in low Earth orbit, they have to move pretty quickly or else their orbit will decay. And they will be sucked into the atmosphere by Earth's gravity. Oh, shit. It's Starlink. Okay, well, that's interesting. That's why it's funny. I thought it was a little more blue than I normally see satellites. I noted that before regarding Starlink. It's Starlink because they're in a line. There's like 5 or 6 of them in a line. So that satellite I was looking at, I'm not actually sure if that was part of that line. The first one I saw, it might have been a totally different satellite. But then I did just see Starlink. It's fairly low on the horizon. It's coming in and out from behind the trees. Whereas the other one I was looking at was higher up on the horizon, probably unrelated. I was watching this YouTuber who makes videos about camping in his van and various BLM, which is Bureau of Land Management, land spots and stuff, isolated spots, locations. He's got Starlink in his van. Yeah, Starlink's Elon Musk's thing. If you buy a bridge, do you own the land on either side? Um, I don't know. Presumably, you own all the structure. I don't know if that means you own the dirt where the cement pilings or whatever they're called are sunk into or not. Those things would have to be specified in the deed for the property, you know? And the owner owns the land around the bridge on the Detroit side of the bridge. Huh. Well, good for him. Privately owned bridge, I think, is the least of Detroit's problems. A coconut corn husky is a fictional breed of dog invented by hammer-wielding social media personality Johnny Hamchek. There you go. I have a privately owned little road down the hill. It's not a bridge. It's the closest thing to infrastructure. Well, I guess my driveway. Closest thing to infrastructure I could really claim to own. I don't own any of the roads around here. None of the bridges, none of the tunnels, none of the bus stations, nothing like that. Coconut corn husky is a battle dog that battles cats. It's kind of like the what was that guy, Andy Kaufman? Kind of like the Andy Kaufman of dog breeds. Of course, because Andy Kaufman was famous for wrestling women. And he called himself the intergender champion. In other words, your first thing you found is correct, Winston's mom. It's a fictional breed made up by somebody who's trying to meme prank or whatever. Well, you know what? You aren't gonna meme prank me. No, sirree, Bob. I'm not gonna believe in your make-believe dog breed. It's a cross between a coconut, an ear of corn, and a husky. Before 9/11, kids going to Canada, where the drinking age is 19, would play a game to see if they could drink a 40 during the car ride in the tunnel. That doesn't sound very safe, okay? They're already too young and making bad decisions out of 40. Disaster ensues. I heard on Naked and Afraid the other day the expression, some variant of this, maybe it said baby, I'm not sure, but it said, let's head out like a newborn. Let's make like a newborn and head out. Maybe it was something like that. Let's make like a tree and leaf. Let's make like a Scandinavian car and Audi. Let's make like people going someplace like God. I've never seen an actual mountain lion, but I did see cat tracks in the snow. First year we were here, it seemed too big to be bobcat, and I suspect we're mountain lion, and a fairly large mountain lion at that. But I don't know for sure. Yeah, off like a prom dress. Out like Andy Dick. In like Flynn. Around like Brown. Maybe it was a furry. Could have been. But pretty convincing set of tracks if it was a furry. I'm impressed. They're really committed to their role, walking around in my isolated neighborhood in their mountain lion outfit in the middle of the night when it's snowing. In Germany, 14-year-olds are allowed to drink beer. Well, good for Germany, you know? Good for Germany. In America, 14-year-olds are not allowed to drink beer, but they do anyway. Yes, Putty Cat, we know the rule, okay? Do you have that posted as a sign in your yard or something? The billboard outside your window that you keep looking at? Well, I'm assuming there must be thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Sasquatches within just a couple miles of my house, but I have yet to see a single one. Maybe even millions. In Mariposa, from what I understand, some counts claim that there are nearly 1 million Sasquatches per square mile in Mariposa County. Well, good. I'm glad you have that ready in case you're called upon to motivate a high school football team. Well, coach, I can diagnose your problem pretty straightforward here. Your players aren't cheating enough. How many holding calls have you gotten? Offensive line. How many holding calls did you get last game? Left tackle. 2? Okay, we need to add a 0 to that. You are not holding enough. What? Let me tell you, Goblin. That is one mosh pit you don't want to find yourself in the middle of. Sasquatch orgy. You are going to be drenched in squatch seed by the time it's over. Absolutely drenched. Well, they could film it around here. Certainly plausible. Oh my God, Mary. What's all that white slime all over you? It's Sasquatch man seed. Oh my God, what were you doing? I don't know. He was just, fun and interesting, and I didn't think it was gonna go right there, but then we started drinking. You know how I get. But Judy, what about Darren? Shh, just don't tell him. It doesn't count as cheating if it's not the same species. Okay, if you say so. That's two 23-year-old women in the woods. Yeah, well, I haven't even seen the like broken tree branches and supposed like Sasquatch primitive branch bending pseudo shelter technology. I haven't seen any of that around here. Hello, temporal teleporter. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. How are you doing there? I hate to inform everybody, but I have recently contracted retardation. You may notice, hopefully temporary retardation. You may notice a periodic, may come in and out, periodic difficulty speaking normally. If so, just please bear with me. I'll try to get out as quickly as possible. I want you to love me for who I am. Okay? Don't judge me. Just because I'm Italian doesn't mean I'm not a real person. Oh, I just had a serious spell of extra intensive retardation. You could write in Bigfoot, but you're gonna have to specify which Bigfoot. First of all, Sasquatches consider the term Bigfoot to be hate speech, so I wouldn't go with that. And not all Sasquatches are the same. Every Sasquatch is their own Sasquatch. Hi, Darlene. Am I bothering you?
No, not at all. I'm in the chat with you guys.
Okay. So you're just not sleeping because of obvious reasons, not because I'm too loud?
No.
Okay. So, for example, all Sasquatches have Sasquatch in their last name, but not all of Sasquatch's last names are simply Sasquatch. So, for example, you might get like Samantha Sasquatchathon or Steve Sasquatchtino, things like that. Yetis, don't mention Yetis around Sasquatches. Sasquatches, even though they're all fussy about how Bigfoot is hate speech for them, they hate Yetis and consider them what they call sub-squatchum, like it's the equivalent of subhuman, even though by all accounts they're the same species. No, Yeti is not a popular drinking apparatus. Instead, it is an abominable snowman. Snowmen run the gamut from wonderful to bad, and the very worst of them are abominable. Those are the Yetis. I would, if you live in or around the Himalayas, I might suggest putting out some anti-Yeti measures around your house before the winter time. Listen, ooh, ah, ooh, is that thing over a Yeti? Ooh, ah, ooh, is it an abominable snowman? How can you tell a Yeti apart from, say, an old Sasquatch that's got gray hair? Trick question. You can't tell them apart. The only difference between Yetis and Sasquatches is the color of their hairs. Hey, yes, it is in fact a racist term made up by Sasquatches, but Sasquatches are notoriously immune to hypocrisy. So if you call them Bigfoots, they're going to accuse you of hate speech. What is the Yeti's name in the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer cartoon? I don't know. Good question. I'm going to go with Charles. What do you call a Yeti gardener or Harry Potter? That's a very British joke. Pottering. I don't think about puttering. It's also a cooler, a bumble. Have you all been doing tarot lately? Is that what this is? We do it periodically. You know, I'm not normally the bringer of the tarot to the party, although sometimes I do. But well, if you want there to be some tarot reads, Rachel's likely to be involved. Is the air conditioning off? I might have turned it off. I think I'll turn it back on. Even though it's 64 degrees outside, it feels pretty warm in here. What do you call a Bigfoot shredding guitar in the woods? Yeti Van Halen. Those are some pretty terrible jokes. I want to give you credit for some pretty terrible jokes there. Okay, I'm going to go look into the air conditioning question. Yeah, pull me a card. Sure, Goblin. Open the windows. Putty cat, putty cat, putty cat. If I'm going to do something like that, instead of opening the windows, I will just turn the air conditioning off and the fan on. It's probably, the reason the air conditioning is not blowing right now is because it's on auto and it's at the temperature it's supposed to be at, so there's no reason for it to go on. But I would like to get a little more air cycling around here, so let's put on the fan. Yes, Putty Cat, I am sure it has AC. Okay. This house does have AC. Why? Because it knows that otherwise it gets too hot. I want to know what magical animal I got. There aren't that many magical animals. You know, there's unicorns, pegasuses. There's sea goats. There's a phoenix, minotaur, chimera. I guess there are more magical creatures than I thought. Imp, goblin, gnome, fairy, other fairy, an orc, a will-o-wisp, don't follow will-o-wisps. They never take you where you're going. Is a leprechaun a magical creature or is that a person? Same question for a genie. That coffee's good. It tastes like flavor in my mouth. EA Sports. It's in the game. Let me try that again. EA Sports. It's in the game. So did I get which magical animal did I get, Goblin? I'm curious. You said you were going to pull me one, but then you never said. Oh, the bee. That's a regular animal. The bee is responsible and a hard worker, which takes on a responsible role within its folk. Take on your responsibilities carefully and responsibly. Okay, that's a lot of responsibility in there, Goblin. 4 times is the word responsible or responsibility or responsibly used. And then we also have the word take on occur twice, that verb. So a lot of responsibility and verbs implying responsibility there. It's good. I like to be responsible. I'm responsible for lots of things, Pretty Cat. You seem to be responsible largely for wrongness, failed attempts to tease me, and other heretical nonsense. But I want to remind you of the immortal words of TLC. Listen, Pretty Cat. Don't go chasing waterfalls. May sound like fun, but what are you going to do with it if you catch one? Do you have room for a waterfall? Do you have the ability to provide everything that a waterfall needs, including water and an uninterrupted flat slope down from a top spot to a bottom spot, along with a gathering spot at the bottom for water to gather? Not to mention, you might want to add a few scenic details, moss-colored rocks and stuff. These things could get expensive. Even if you find the waterfall and get to keep it for free, that doesn't mean waterfall ownership is free. Think about that. Let me get my glasses. Chock full of nuts coffee has neither nuts in it, nor chocks, nor coffee. It's just a can full of disappointment. Okay, fine. It has coffee in it. It does have coffee in it. But that's still just 1 for 3. Hello, Rahul. Waterfalls are too easy to catch, says Temporal Teleporter. Are you sure you're not just bragging and or projecting your own experience onto everybody else? Some of this is pretty hard to catch them. Salmon jumping in the waterfall. They're not jumping in the waterfall. They're jumping up the waterfall, trying to reach higher ground, like Stevie Wonder. Well, I had a pretty good experience wearing my new shoes last night, walking around. I doubled up my socks, and sure enough, they fit great. Just need to put extra thick pair of socks on. You know. You think chocolate nuts is terrible? I actually kind of like, um, I guess what you'd call supermarket grade coffee, like Folgers, U-Ban, chock full of nuts. Red hot chili peppers. You were an ill-conceived. You were ill-conceived from the outset. There's no good way to make a band with that singer. And there's no good way to make an album without writing songs. By and large, Red Hot Chili Peppers tried to avoid songwriting. When they didn't, when they actually wrote some songs, for example, their best stuff is exactly that. Good songwriting, such as sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. It's a good song, you know. Folgers Black Silk's good for cheap coffee. I think we've got U-Ban. It's been on sale. Yeah, Starbucks is terrible. I agree. Well, I think it's about time to wrap this up. I'm gonna watch a little TV and then try to hit the hay, go to bed, etc., etc. Until later, I bid you all a very fond farewell and wish you the very best of Sunday mornings.